This is episode 86 of Changing the Face of Yoga. And I'm talking to Natasya Yusuf, and she has many talents, but we'll be talking about yoga and meditation. Let's listen. Hello, and welcome to Change the Face of Yoga, teaching toddlers through golden oldies. I'm very excited to be talking to lots of yoga teachers who will explain their passion for teaching yoga to students with different ages, physical fitness levels, wellness levels, and different goals. They will explain the benefits of yoga for these students and will be including teacher tips and pose modifications. I am Stephanie Cunningham of Yoga Lightness, and I've been teaching over 50s for 10 years. So this area is my passion and the passion of many other yoga teachers that you will be listening to in this series. Thank you so much for listening, and let's get started. Hello, this is Stephanie Cunningham, and my guest today is Natasya Yusuf. And Natasya is very talented. I am amazed by her bio. She started yoga in her early 20s, but really got into it in her mid-30s. And she has, before doing yoga, really diving headlong into it, she spent years as a professional actor and swing dance instructor. She loves cats, crystals, meditation, which came as a bit of a shock to her, and her boyfriend. Determined to help people realize their full potential and find deep joy and fulfilling connections, she now spends her days teaching yoga. And we'll talk a bit about this, creating her soon-to-be-released meditation and transformational online courses. So welcome, Natasya. I'm really glad that you came on. You have a really lots of talents, so I'm sure we'll be very busy talking about all of them.
Thank you. You might hear my cat purring.
Oh, that's
lovely. Cats, and she's just decided that this is the perfect time to hop on my lap.
Of course she did. Yes. At any moment, she will sit on your computer sometime.
That's right. She wants to be involved.
Yes. They're kind of like little kids in a way. Okay, so I think it's really interesting that you were a vintage dance and acting and improv were what you did beforehand. And I think there is a bit of acting when you're a yoga teacher. Do you find that there's some similarities there or not at all?
Definitely. I think that those skills have transferred really, really well and really easily into becoming a yoga teacher. My biggest concern when I first started being a yoga teacher was I don't know how to be all zen and that weird image that we tend to have of what yoga teachers should be like. And then I realized that actually I just had to be myself, and that's what people relate to. And so being able to speak in front of an audience is really easy for me, and that's thanks to my acting background and also the teaching because of years of teaching dance. So it was the natural progression, and it means that I don't miss those other two disciplines that I don't really do much of anymore, because I kind of get my performance and my movement buzz at the same time.
I've been talking to a lot of people lately. I don't know how come this all came together, but about movement in general and how yoga certainly has its benefits and certainly is very beneficial and helpful to a lot of different people, but that adding other movements into a class, and it sounds like you might do that because you said something about, you'll start the class off with people just moving any way they want to.
Yeah.
Is that something that you deliberately do, or is it just kind of happen, or
I think it has kind of happened. When you come out as a new yoga teacher, you try and do everything by the book, but eventually you find what works for you, and really getting people to feel into their bodies, I think, is something really important at the start of a class, because then they know where they're at. They know what's tight, they know what's sore, they know what feels good, and it's easier to move from there, I think.
Okay. And do you think that your background in dance helps you with that? Or I know I would
Definitely.
Be terribly embarrassed to do that.
Well, I mean, I don't get people to do weird stuff. And I've been to those weird yoga dance things where they're like, just fling your arms around and dance, weirdly. And I'm sorry if anyone out there does that. It's not for me. For me, it has to be something authentic and something you feel. So I just start them in like a tabletop cat and cow, and from there just, move through that and feel your body, or downward facing dog, and trying to get people starting in a place they're familiar and then finding what their body can do from there. And it's really lovely seeing the people who are used to that. They just go for it, and you can see them stretching like a cat pretty much, and just really enjoying it. And the people who are new, who are still down dogging, maybe bending one knee and the other knee and not quite sure.
No, I just think it's really interesting. I've seen it now quite a bit, that people are really adding a lot into a yoga class in the movement area. I think, we're a bit more standard in pranayama and meditation. But so I just was wondering, because since you have that lovely background, you would know all about that. Because you said you don't prescribe to the one-size-fits-all alignment cues.
No.
I think that's really clever. But a lot of work, isn't it, to really kind of individualize for everyone?
Well, there's definitely global alignment cues, but then it's like, what are their bodies like? What kind of weight are they carrying? How are their hips built? And Bernie Clark has an amazing book called Your Body, Your Yoga, and I totally love that title, because that's what I believe too. It's like, your body, your yoga. How does your body make you feel? How does it work for you right now? It may change as your flexibility comes into it, but forcing someone into a position because it looks, it's supposed to look a certain way, I think is a dangerous practice.
Okay. Now, you own your own studio, is that correct?
I do.
So you obviously have kind of a bent, shall we say, towards inclusiveness, because you talked about people in larger bodies and people who, may be injured and that kind of stuff. How do you kind of get that message out that you're kind of an inclusive studio?
I've never really thought about it that way. I guess because I don't teach a certain style, or I don't fall into any type of brand. And people call up all the time to ask what kind of yoga I teach, and that's a really hard question. So I just say traditional yoga, and that generally fulfills their ideas. And it's not at all, actually, when I think about it.
False advertising.
I know, when I think about it now, I'm like, I'm probably not so traditional anymore. I think it's probably more word of mouth, in the sense that people feel comfortable coming and being themselves there, and not feeling like they have to dress a certain way or look a certain way. And, there's tons of places that deal and cater to that. I guess I just infuse my own beliefs and my own self into the copy that I write for my website. And it doesn't say, I don't think it says, this is for everyone, all sizes and stuff, but it does say we've got different things that suit a lot of different people, and there's lots of different variations and things to suit people. And maybe it comes from my beginner class courses as well, that's really described as teaching you how to work your body so that you can walk into any yoga class and feel safe and familiar and comfortable.
Okay. So it's more of a kind of a mission statement. That sounds a bit up there, but
yeah, I guess now you're making me have to rethink all the stuff that I'm writing on my website and be like, I should target this more.
I'm just doing this because I don't know why. It's just come up a lot in the past few interviews I've done. Now, they won't come out in the schedule that I took them, that I recorded them, but it's just, I just have been thinking about it a lot lately. So I just thought I'd get your take on it. That's all.
No, it's cool. It's cool to hear that. Yeah, that's more of a thing now.
Well, I don't know that I can say that, because well, it's just, you don't want to get into groupthink. I talk to people who are not traditional in the sense of young, blonde, fitness kind of yoga. And that's a big part of yoga. But I don't talk to those people. I talk to the other people. And so I always hear the same things. And so I have to be careful not to think that, there's a big revolution out there, because I'm not sure that there is. There might be, but I don't know that.
I think it's coming.
I hope so. With things like, Bernie Clark's Your Body, Your Yoga, I think it's becoming more well known. At least I hope so, because I'd like everybody to be able to do yoga in some form or another.
Yeah, and I think Yin Yoga has had a lot to do with that because Paul Grilley's very much of that mindset too. It's like, what feels right for you, let your body find the way. Even though some Yin classes now have gone more to that alignment stuff, yeah, there's that middle ground where we can have safe alignment, but we also allow our bodies to show us what is safe alignment for us and our students.
Yeah. Okay. I thought we should talk about, I was really impressed with all the videos that you have out on YouTube. I watched a couple of those. And why did you decide to do that? I mean, what was the reason behind it?
I guess that again comes from my acting background and being used to being in front of a camera. And when I did my dance school, we actually always did recaps of the classes and put them up on YouTube. So I was very familiar with doing that. And then, of course, I love people like Adrien, Yoga with Adrien on YouTube. And I'm like, she's pretty quirky. She's kind of like me. I could totally do that. And I would love to have 3 million viewers, subscribers like she does. But I'm happy with the 300 I have at the moment.
That's great. So now you're thinking about going into meditation, and we'll have to define this, transformational online courses. So first of all, what do you mean by transformational?
Right. So when I first thought about doing online stuff, I was going to do yoga videos and meditation and things like that, but it didn't really call to me. And I think a lot of people that do go into this line of work really want to affect change in a positive way in people's lives. And as I've kind of been mulling it over and thinking, well, what do I have to offer in the online space? Because there's loads of online yoga stuff, courses and stuff that are all amazing. But what can I bring that resonates with me and that will hopefully help me help other people? So I want to create courses that are based more around loving our bodies, loving ourselves, and loving that person that is who we really are. A lot of us wear a mask a lot of the time because we're trying to fit into what our parents want us to be, what society wants us to be, what we think we should be, rather than just sitting down and finding out who we are and just being that.
Mm-hmm.
Along those lines is where I'm thinking is allowing us all to live our authentic selves and speak in our authentic voices and find joy because we are living in that space.
Okay. Obviously, I can see where meditation would fit into that, but are you planning to do other things that you therefore designate as transformational?
Yes. So the meditation is going to be my jumping off point because I know that, and I can, that's something I can start with and lead into then the rest of the work later as I build on the courses. But I thought I'd start with something a little easier, a little more accessible. But I have been doing a lot of self-love meditations and healing meditations on my Facebook page, and people have been loving them. So that's why I'm going to start with that. And all my courses are going to have that component of meditation because I think that really is transformational. It really does change our lives. And it was something that I thought would be cool to do for years and just never could or just didn't know how, or I don't know. I think everyone's had this journey where they're like, meditation, it's too hard. It's not for me. I can't do it. Can't still my mind. And then you realize that that's not what meditation is about. It's not really about trying to still the mind. It's just about sitting with yourself and allowing those thoughts to process through and finding stillness from that point.
Very different way of doing meditation than I've been taught, but I think it might be an interesting way to do it because those thoughts do come through, don't they? I mean, there's really very little you can do about that.
Yeah, and we are all taught that, still the monkey mind. So you're so stressed out trying to still that monkey mind that you're not meditating at all. You're not reaching samadhi, you're not reaching that state of bliss. You're just, I can't do it. And then you give up, or you sit there and you're like, this is boring. But when you touch that space where even if the thoughts are coming and going and you're just listening to your breath and you're letting your body soften into it, suddenly things change and you're like, "Ooh, this feels great. I want to sit here a little longer."
Yeah, so that often doesn't happen in meditation. It's like, oh, good, my 20 minutes is up. And so...
Yeah, if you're trying to still your mind, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it, looking at the clock. And sometimes it's like, I'm done. And you look at the clock and you've got another 4 minutes to go or whatever. And it's like, well, that's all good. I'm done. And that's where that's where I'd like people to find that sense of acceptance with their meditation, as opposed to force and thinking we have to do this because it's so transformational. It's like, do it because it feels good.
Yeah. And then there's the other one where you open your eyes after meditating and there's 30 minutes have gone by and it's just, you didn't even realize it. So
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the one that always amazes me, because I'm kind of like, wow, I didn't even recognize the passage of time.
Yeah. And it feels great, right? You're like, oh, that was amazing.
It was. I really enjoy it. So when do you anticipate, and I understand that there's lots of things that might get in the way, but when do you anticipate that you will be releasing these meditation and transformational videos?
Well, I'm going to start off just with a short series of maybe 6, like a 6-week course of things like that. And I've mapped it out. So now it's all up to me to actually just commit and do the launch. And that's the scariest part of all. It's like putting it out there and going, what if no one wants to buy it? You know? So I would like to have it out before Christmas, but definitely I would be very disappointed with myself if it wasn't out by February next year. But I am aiming to launch the course before the end of this year.
Okay. Well, good luck. So, can you give us a little preview of what this 6 videos will do, go together to make this course? We're not there yet.
A little bit. Well, yeah, it might change because I keep going, oh, but this would be great. And I thought about a new style of meditation, a new way to use my meditation in it the other day while I was teaching meditation. And I'm calling it planting the seed. So it's just planting a little seed, especially for people who do have trouble accepting themselves or loving themselves for who they are and knowing that they're enough. Just starting with a guided meditation and just planting that little first seed to lead you into that space of self-love. And then another week we'll explore what's holding us back and what blocks we're putting in our way to hold us back from moving forward, launching our online programs, for example, or taking that step to leave maybe a relationship that's no good for you, or leave a job that you're not enjoying. Why do we stay in jobs that we hate and we complain about constantly, but then we get a promotion and we stay there because the money's good? Is that worth it? No. So looking at those kind of things and building from there, and then using things like mirror work and the Ho'oponopono forgiveness, Hawaiian, what's that called? Hawaiian technique of forgiving ourselves and other people, and then planting more seeds until we get to that space where we are sort of in that place of radical self-love and acceptance, and ready to move forward and live a magical life. That's what I want it to be like.
Well, I think that's a lovely goal. I really do. I think it's probably needed. I just do my own meditation, so I don't do other people's, but I think it's really helpful sometimes to see different ways to do meditation, that maybe you need a different way than you've been taught. And so I think this would be a great way for people to explore, to say, this is one way to do it, and is this good for me? So
absolutely. And that's kind of been my meditation journey, is trying lots of things, and different things work at different times depending on where I'm at. Yeah, so giving people the choice and not saying this is the way to meditate. But the meditation's only a small part of the online course. That's sort of the place where we get in touch with ourselves. And then from there, there's exercises and other things that we look at and journal and discuss. And hopefully I'll have a forum and a group and maybe a live chat that we can, just do things like that.
Wow. Okay. That sounds good. Could we just, for a minute, because I don't think I've heard of this, or if I have, I've forgotten it, which is the Hawaiian way of forgiveness?
Yeah, ho'oponopono. So it is the ancient ritual of recognizing that you are the cause of everything you see in the world, and acknowledging that and asking for forgiveness for the injustices that you perceive. So if you are feeling some negative emotions towards someone in your family or maybe on the media, it doesn't matter. The words are, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. And you just sit quietly. It's like a little mantra meditation. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Whatever order that you want those words to come in. Holding that person in your mind and going through it until you feel those negative emotions ease and change. And you don't have to go to them and speak to them. They'll feel that energy and they'll slowly change, and you'll slowly change your feelings towards them as well. So there's a gentleman called Hugh Len, I think I got that right. He used this in prisons for really, really difficult inmates, and he just looked at their pictures. He didn't talk to them or anything, and he just said this is how the story goes, that this is what he did, and the incidents of violence and solitary confinement, all of those things in the prison completely decreased. So because you can Google it.
Yeah, I will have to. Yes, I think it's really an interesting concept that we are responsible for everything, that our energy, our attitude, whatever, even though you may not, he probably had nothing personally to do with these individuals that were in prison, but he was taking responsibility in some part for them being there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's recognizing that we are all one, and if one of the energy centers that comes out from us is damaged, then we're damaged as well. So it's the Hawaiian kahunas, their tradition and stuff is so beautiful. So this practice is pretty magical. And I do have this amazing young lady that comes to my classes, and I taught her this, and she was going through a really rough time, and she uses it constantly. She's always telling me stories of how it's healed her relationship with her boyfriend's girlfriend at the time, and not her boyfriend, sorry, her brother's girlfriend at the time.
Okay, that's going well.
Yeah, whoops, no. And with her brother, and so she absolutely loves it, and she went and Googled it, found a book and all that stuff. It's really cool to see her take it and really get benefit out of it too. So it is a powerful practice.
Okay. So that's really interesting, and I'll be sure to put that in the show notes that you will be launching these soon. That's all I'll say in there. But do you have a name? Oh, it's called Planting the Seeds. Is that the correct name?
I don't have a name, but that's pretty cool.
That's a possibility. Okay.
That's a possibility.
Well, I'll just say it, and she's launching these courses, which may be named. So
they're still sort of scratched out on bits of paper at the moment.
I know that one, yes. So let's end on a more joyous, shall we say, or more fun, let's say it that way, about teaching toddlers.
Yeah.
And I'm very impressed that you're teaching yoga to toddlers, and that sometimes you say all you do is run around the room with them. So
well, I had no intention to teach 2-year-olds, and even younger. I thought I'd start at 5. Yeah. And when I first opened my yoga studio, people would drop in and they would say, "Are you going to do this for 2-year-olds?" And I was like, "Yes, sure."
Why not?
And it is crazy and it's chaos, and I teach it at the Yoga Pantry, but I also teach it at a kindy as well. And it's just, you've got to go with the spirit that they're bringing, and if they're just in a run around kind of day, then you fly around as birds, or you run around as an airplane or something like that. But I do always manage to get them into shavasana, so so we do get there by the end of the 20 minutes to half an hour.
I just thought that was interesting. I have taught some young children, but never toddlers. I thought, whoa, I don't even know how I'd go about that.
They're amazing because again, this is where I draw from my acting and my improv base. It's very improvisational. We story tell and if anyone knows Cosmic Kids Yoga, hers is a bit more structured than mine, but it's that kind of idea of taking the kids on a little adventure and a little journey, and I get the kids to create the story. So I'll prompt them to say, you know, how are we going to get to the zoo if we're going to the zoo? And they'll come up with crazy things. And, you know, well, when we're at the zoo, what kind, I can hear something coming. Who is it? What is it? And they'll come up again with the most ridiculous ideas that just makes everything amazing.
Yeah. I bet it does. Actually, that sounds like fun. I may take on toddlers. I don't think I have energy, actually. But
well, you know, it's 20 minutes to half an hour and then you're done. And I only do it once a week. Well, twice because of the kindy, but yeah.
And then you go rest, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, this has been fun. It really has. Is there anything that you would like to talk about that we haven't covered, or we haven't covered it in enough depth?
No, I think
no. Okay, I will give people your contact details and remind them that you have a lot of yoga videos on YouTube.
There is one for toddlers.
And there is one for toddlers, so we all should look that one up.
So you can see what that's all about.
Okay.
And there's a few chair yoga ones as well, and then everything in between, pretty much. I actually just did two in Melbourne when I was there. So there's one for backpackers and there's one for cyclists because we took our bikes. So if people are in Melbourne and they want to see a little bit of the video and be like, oh, I know where that is.
I was just there last week, yes. So her website is theyogapantry.com, www.theyogapantry.com.
Yes, so that's my physical yoga business.
Okay.
And then where the courses will be, and they will be linked to the Yoga Pantry, but what I'm moving to with my own personal brand is natasyayusaf.com. So that's easy as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me spell that for people. It's NATASYAYUSOFF. Okay.
Yes.
.com. And that's where the courses, you can get into the courses from.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can send me messages and say, can you do a course on this? And I'll be like,
okay. So that's a good thing to know, that you're looking for ideas on what people might like to see.
Absolutely. If there's anything that you're having trouble with and you just can't get past that, what is that you would like to work on? Then I will put my little thinking cap on, and if it's viable, I will create a course.
Okay, great. That sounds good. Yes. So YouTube is youtube.com/C/The Yoga Pantry with Tash. And I will put this all in the show notes so you guys do. And her Instagram name is _motivational_yogi. And I looked at that. And there are lots of yoga poses, but they are not in the traditional form that we all expect. So I kind of like them because they gave the impression that anybody could do them. They were not.
Yeah, I like to, that's what my idea was, because there's tons of yoga on Instagram that none of us can achieve. So there's like tips of how to get into the splits and the working your way up to it. And then I've got little flows there, and it has the grid of the pose, and then you can look at the video flow and do it from there. They're a bit sped up. But yeah, I kind of have Instagram just for my own satisfaction to do those things, and I like the way it looks. So
okay, well,
but that's there. But those videos, if you like them, are also on my Facebook page, The Yoga Pantry, and that's got a whole lot of videos of those little flows and little tips and stuff as well, if you just go into the video section, and my meditations and things like that.
Great. So there's all kinds of things that Natasya's offering free to get all of us kind of used to yoga. And so I want to thank you so much, Natasya. It was great talking to you. I had a great time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And I hope that you do launch your courses and that it will be successful. It sounds like something that a lot of people could use. So thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much. And when I do launch, I will send you the link.
Great. Thank you. That would be helpful.
Awesome.
Thank you for that wonderful interview. If you would like to be a guest on Changing the Face of Yoga, please go to my website, www.yogalightness.com.au, and under the Changing the Face of Yoga tab, you can complete Be Our Guest form. After reviewing the form and finding it applicable to this podcast, we will send you a link to schedule an interview. Please download, review, and tell your friends of any podcasts that are of interest to you and to them. If you would like to contact me, send an email to info@yogalightness.com.au. And thank you for listening to Changing the Face of Yoga.